Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Master Your Life with Kate McKay. Today, I am very excited to introduce my guest, Deb Krier. Welcome, Deb.
Hello, how are you?
It's so good to see you again. I'm super excited for this interview because you interviewed me, and now today, a gift that I get to interview you.
Right, we're turning that table around.
I love that. It's so great. So just a little bit of bio in regards to you, Deb. So Deb is an unlikely cancer survivor. She's experienced the disconnection and despair of a system where cancer is the star of the show, while people with the cancer are watching silently from the sidelines. Now she's using her experience and expertise to kill cancer with honesty, communication, and collaboration. I love that. So welcome to the show, Deb. And
Thank you.
Boy, killing cancer with honesty, communication, and collaboration.
Right.
Can you talk to me, because you've had your own bout with cancer?
Yeah.
Can you just talk to us about that experience and how bizarre that seemed for you, that it was like cancer was driving the show?
You know, it was very bizarre. And then you toss in the fact that I worked for an oncologist and I worked for the American Cancer Society. So I knew just enough to be dangerous, right? And so back in 2015, I was the good girl. I went every year for my annual mammograms and got the call, you need to come back. And so the initial diagnosis was that it was stage 0, which is basically precancer. So, nothing to be overly concerned about. I kind of went, well, that's kind of annoying. But then as, the months progressed and we did tests and, got into things a little bit more deeply, it turned out to be the worst diagnosis. It was stage 4 metastatic triple positive breast cancer. And stage 4 cancer is not considered curable. So, I went through all sorts of stuff. If it could go wrong, it did. I was the miracle child more than once. And it was just, I'm actually, still in treatment. I get an infusion in every 3 weeks. But, I learned along the way, we have to, first of all, laugh as much as we possibly can and not to let it get us down. And so I'm using that to now help others on their journey with having cancer or any type of serious illness.
Were you always a positive person?
I think so. I was I always was the person that the teacher would say, sit down, shut up, all of those various things. But I'm not 100% positive, because there are days where I wake up and I think, right. But it does help to have that positive outlook. And I remember, it was 30 years ago that I worked for the oncologist, and he would say that 99% of dealing with this was in your head. If you thought it was going to help you, that was so much better than if you went, ready to die.
And a lot of people, it seems, particularly at this time, are in that position,
right,
without hope. And I love it that you're a messenger of hope in the darker places, particularly around cancer.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about this question for you. When you got the diagnosis,
right,
and you have obviously people around you that love you, and people that watched you and said, oh, great, how's Deb going to deal with this one now? This positivity.
Right.
There is that judgment, crazy world that we live in, Deb. Talk to me about that.
Initially, I only told those who were closest to me, right? Because I was going to sail through this and nobody'd know. And then I rapidly figured out, oh, well, that's not going to work. So, then I expanded telling who I was going to tell. It was very interesting because some of the people who I thought would be my biggest supporters dropped off the face of the earth, for whatever reason. They couldn't deal with it. They didn't want to think about their own immortality, whatever it was. But amazingly, people who in many cases I didn't even think knew I existed were some of my biggest supporters. And so that was always really fun. But it was a little tricky because we had moved to Atlanta from Denver just about 18 months before all of this happened, or maybe 2 years. So I hadn't established a huge network down here. So I did a lot of expanding my support group online. And I still have a private Facebook group with about 400 people who are my support system. And anytime I'm going in for anything, I post there and, get all of these good thoughts and good feelings. But yeah, and when people, they would say, you're always so happy. I tell them, okay, you do have pity parties. And let's be honest, pity parties are healthy. If we're going through something like this and we're bright, happy, cheery all the time, that's not healthy. But the key is that you kind of embrace the pity party. You let yourself feel those feelings. I mean, I am madder than all get out that all of this happened to me. But then you go on. And that's the important thing.
Truly. I know this feeling. And the reason why I asked you that question about the judgment of others is because that was so true of me when my son passed away, that it was shocking to me how many people fell away and then the people who stepped forward. And I often tell that to people and my clients in my high performance coaching, that when you go through any kind of transformation or any difficulty or win, it oftentimes will surprise you who falls away and who cheers you on. And I think that part of this really great expression, positive expectancy, that holding that the right and perfect people will be there, takes a lot of faith and courage. So could you talk about your experience with positive expectancy and how you define courage?
Courage is getting up every day. I mean, and there are days where I lay in bed and think, everything hurts. I have a doctor's appointment today. I have to do this. I have to do that. About that point, I'll see like one of the commercials on TV for Children's Hospital or something about, maybe a veteran that's lost multiple limbs. And I think, buck up, honey, you got it pretty easy. But it does. Everybody has things that they don't want to do. And so it is courageous to go on every day. There are challenges. And sometimes dealing with some of the people, as you mentioned, those get to be challenges also. I mean, I had several people who bluntly informed me that because I don't eat well, I caused my own cancer. Maybe, maybe not. But I tell you what, I still like a Big Mac on occasion. But yeah, it was. I think courage really is just doing what you have to do no matter what.
And how do you view positive expectancy? And what would you, how could you explain that actually in your terminology, what you think that means, and how possibility is actually the seed of positivity, and what you think of that?
For some reason, I have in my mind an image of myself at 97 years old. I have no idea where that came from. I mean, it's just, and it's funny because I see myself in a hall, right? And so it's, okay, that's where I'm going to be. So I have to do what I have to do to get there. I have no idea why 97, anything. I mean, it's just this weird thing that popped into my head at some point. But it's being positive acknowledges that bad things are going to happen, because we're not Pollyanna, but it is still saying what is supposed to happen is going to be what happens. And we have to meet it with that courage, with those positive thoughts, and deal with the negatives by saying, okay, how can we get through this? And really taking one, and sometimes we're going to, people are like, oh, keep going forward, keep going. Sometimes we go backwards. I mean, and knowing that that's okay. It's just a matter of not getting caught up and continuing to go backwards.
And how do doctors take your positive attitude?
Oh, they shake their heads. I have a couple that, because like I said, if it could go wrong, it did. And so I have multiple doctors, and most of them, fortunately, I only see every once in a while now, but there were some that really did not know what to do with me, especially when I was very ill and still being, like I normally am. But I have some that say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you had an appointment today because you make me laugh. I have another doctor who I saw several weeks ago who said, you don't need to come back, which I like those type of doctors, right? And he said, but I have to tell you, I'm sad to see you go. And I only saw him twice, but it was just kind of one of those things, because part of that too is I understand the stress that they and their staff are under. And it doesn't matter what their specialty is, it's just stressful. And so if I can kind of, make appropriate humorous jokes and things like that, then I want to lift their days also, but they also can tell when I'm not feeling so good. And one of the things that I tell people is, anytime you go into the doctor, they're going to say, hey, Kate, how are you doing? And you're going to say, I'm fine. right? Doesn't matter how we feel. That's just what pops out of our mouth. And so I try to never say that. If I'm really doing good, I'm hunky dory. I'm hunky dory today. But if I'm not feeling good, then I tell them, today's not as good a day, or, this has been going on, because they can't treat us if they really don't know what our truth is. But yeah, I try and brighten their day and, take them little things and it doesn't matter if it's the doctors, aides, nurses, whatever. What can I do to make them laugh?
That's so good. What fuels that positivity, do you think?
Oh, sometimes I think it's stupidity.
Love that.
I do know that my expiration date is probably sooner than what I really had thought it was going to be. But at the same point, we can go through life being down and depressed. And I'm not talking about, there are people who unfortunately have medical reasons for depression and things like that. But we can choose, are we going to be happy? Are we going to be sad? And so it's just a matter of, what? I'm just going to choose to go through this as happy as I can be in these circumstances.
And there really is no other way for you, is there?
Not really.
No.
And people know when I'm kind of quiet and sad, like my husband. I mean, he knows when it's not a good day because I'm not doopy, right? And people I'm around know, okay, she's just kind of having a bad day. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of the medicine that I take is chronic pain. And it's just always there. So you live with it when it's the low level. When it gets the higher level, okay, have to go, lay down, sit down, whatever for a while. But people know she's a little tired. And the nice thing is the people who know and support me, they know when to say, what can we do to help? And the key is to say, here's how you can help. We want to be independent. We want to get through this on our own, but to be able to say, okay, sure, here's how you can help me, or here's a task that I need done. That's one of the absolute best things. And I tell people, it really is, we're afraid to ask for help, and we shouldn't be, because people really do want to help.
Interested in learning more about a mastermind with Kate McKay? Reach out to us on our website at kate-mckay.com. That's powerful. One of the high performance habits in my coaching program is courage. So what they did a study, Brendan Bouchard, who's my mentor coach, and studied people who are high performers, and high performers being people that excel, that have a high level of fulfillment and happiness and senses of significance in their personal and professional life, intimate relationships, and all of it. And one of them is courage. And courage is defined by speaking your truth and being able to speak your needs and get your needs met. And was that a journey for you, or were you always a person that was comfortable with the giving and receiving?
I am much more comfortable giving than receiving. And part of it is, you don't want to be a bother. You don't want to intrude, all of those various things. And, I am only child, so I'm pretty darn independent. My mother is incredibly independent and strong-willed. So I inherited this. I think, I do struggle and have to remind myself that I can ask for help. And I'll be honest, part of it is, there is that part of me that says, well, there's only one way that it can be done, and it's my way. And when you have someone else help you, they might do it differently. Doesn't mean they're going to do it wrong. They're just going to do it differently. And so every time I have to remind myself, okay, they're going to do it different, and that's not a bad thing. But yeah, you toss in the fact that I'm a type A personality, and it's sometimes definitely a challenge.
Well, I love it though, that you said, not only do you ask for help, but you tell them how they can help you.
Right.
Which takes great courage, Deb, to be able to ask for that. So what would for the viewers and listeners who may be struggling with a cancer diagnosis or another challenge where they feel less hopeful,
right?
What is the way that you could suggest that people could ask for help, and what that looks like?
I had someone respond on a Facebook post not long ago. We were talking about how you kind of feel alone when you're going through these journeys, because you are there by yourself. And obviously COVID did not help that. But, and he posted and he said, I have never felt so alone in my life. Broke my heart. I mean, it was one of those things. And many people responded. So that was very nice. But I told him, I said, give people the chance to help you. because
Mhm.
they do want to. But, to answer your question, we do have to be specific. If we need somebody to run an errand for us, do that. I was, again, I'm on Facebook a lot, and that's where I post a lot of this. And it was so funny because in my memories came up a time. So initially, when I had my first go round of yucks, I ended up in the hospital and in and out of ICU for a 7-week period. And so when I got out, part of what they said was, you need to get exercise. You need to walk. Well, my husband, was not there. And I knew walking by myself was not smart, just in case something happened. And so I literally posted on Facebook, hey, Atlanta friends, I need people to come every day and spend 15 minutes walking me up and down the street. Had all sorts of volunteers because I was specific, and when we just say, I need help, people don't know what to do. And same thing with if you're offering help, you can't just say, let me know what you need. Be specific and say, tell me if you need me to run errands. Tell me if you need some grocery shopping done. Tell me if you need me to clean, all of those things, or just do it. A friend of mine said that one of her friends just showed up with mop and bucket and was ready to clean. And she said, I was initially mortified. And then I thought, hey, this is the coolest thing in the world. But yeah, none of us read minds. So, be specific, either asking or offering to help someone.
What gets in the way of people asking for help?
I think we're afraid people will tell us no. And they might. I mean, the thing is, they're not rejecting us. Yeah, they might be, but maybe that means you weren't supposed to ask them anyway, right? Those were the people that, but, I think we are afraid that we'll either get ignored or we'll be told no. And so we just don't want to get our feelings hurt. So we don't put it out there. And again, we don't want to intrude either. We know people are so busy. I don't want to say, hey, can you run an errand for me today? We're thinking of them first, and that's okay. But give them the opportunity to say no, or to say no, but I can do X. They might say, I can't run that errand for you today, but could I run it tomorrow?
It takes great courage to speak your need. Mm-hmm. And I can't highlight that enough, that you're modeling that. And even
it makes us very vulnerable.
Yeah. But the fact that you have the courage enough to do that, considering you said you're type A only child and used to doing things on your own and being your own energy source, that you've actually have a commitment to help others build a tribe around that. Can you talk about how that worked for you, and suggestions perhaps on if people are feeling really that sense of aloneness, what would you suggest for them?
Well, it wasn't too long after I was diagnosed that I saw the poem, and it says, fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. And the warrior replies, I am the storm. And that just really got me through all of this. In fact, I had warrior tattooed on my forearm because I see that when I'm like at the doctor's office or laying down or something like that. And I actually touch it because it reminds me that we are that warrior. But warriors always have a tribe around them. And I think that is the thing that we all need to remember is we aren't in this alone. We have obviously the healers, but the healers are also not in charge. If you're not in alignment with what your medical team is saying you should do, then rethink it. It's okay to fire your doctors. It's definitely okay to get second, maybe even third opinions, and to consider alternatives. There's so many other options now for dealing with a lot of this. But it is so important that you have that tribe of people around you, because you have your healers, you have your advisors, you have, the people who might spiritually guide you, all of those various things. And it's amazing how much better you feel when you know you're not alone. I mean, that just, anytime I go in for something that is more serious, I know I'm not alone. I mean, there are all these people that are thinking about me, or, I tell myself they are, but they, and so I know I'm not alone. And I'll be honest, part of it is, oh my gosh, I can't let them down. I have to be okay. But yeah, it is about building your tribe and having those people support you.
So you describe your tribe as having, obviously your doctors, your healers, your spiritual guide, your friends that are going to help you.
Right.
Who else?
Sometimes it is absolute total strangers.
Right.
When we know there are people who have told me, hey, we've put you on the prayer list at my church. I don't know those people. I don't know all 400 people that are in my Facebook group for this. It's, and I think that's part of what is so cool about this is we have the ability in ourselves to have kind of unlimited support for others. And so we have to recognize that others can support us also. And it's just, kind of out there. We can have people that we don't even know who are thinking about this. And maybe it's just more of a general thing because we know that there are people who just pray for those who are suffering. Okay, you get a count in that, allowing yourself to accept that there's all of this support out there.
So you said unlimited support, that we provide unlimited support for others. And yet oftentimes we don't give ourselves the same grace.
Right.
And so I would just say to the viewers and listeners that what would that look like for you if you opened up your heart to receive with grace, even the unlimited support that's around you for people that you know and may not know. Right. I think that's a beautiful position to be in, particularly in this time where a lot of people don't feel that sense of hope. Right. And it's really pretty significant. So you talk a little bit about what is the cure for cancer, and what would you say what you think the cure for cancer is? How close? For me,
the cure is living. It really is just living. I don't know that from a medical standpoint, and there are obviously people who are cured. I think it really is just living your life and just knowing that having cancer is kind of like I have red hair. It's just part of me. And so it's just there and I'm going to go on. It really is the only thing that can defeat cancer is to just acknowledge that it's there and go on. And I don't care if, you might know that you really have like 2 or 3 days. How are you going to live in those 2 or 3 days? I was listening to somebody else's podcast the other day, and he was talking about the football great Franco Harris and how he had this huge party celebration and then that night died. Wouldn't that be great to be able to live up until that moment that we die?
Yes, and yes. I fully agree. Open, transparent, courageous, with a willingness to continue to grow and continue to be able to give and receive the light is truly grace. And so few people fully live in that. Boy, yes. I'm just like, oh, that's so perfect. So for the viewers and listeners, where do we begin? Where do we begin to tap into that mustard seed of faith and be able to see to the other side and have more hope in the future?
I think the first thing is to have grace with yourself, forgive yourself, and know that, we hear about this, I'm only human. Yeah, we are. We really, we're not Superman. We're not Superwoman. We're not, these mythical creatures. We're human. We're going to have things that go wrong. We're going to have experiences and things happen to us. Have the grace to forgive yourself and go, okay, now what are we going to do? And then, like I said, be open to accepting whatever it is that's coming along and the help from others, and have grace with them too. We mentioned the folks that weren't all that helpful. Doesn't mean there's, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them or anything bad. It just wasn't something they could do. And, that's okay too.
Sometimes our own suffering causes so much suffering for other people that it's too triggering for them. So I think that's really the grace. The grace is an understanding that there are people in our lives that may love us, but they're just not capable of being there for us through great suffering. I was shocked, and disappointed at some of the responses. And yet at the same time, it taught me grace at a whole other level.
Right. Well, and understanding sometimes people just simply do not know what to say, especially with, say, the death of a child. I mean, that is so unimaginable. But, it's also one of those things where just having somebody say, I'm so sorry. They don't have to say anything more than that for you to know that they care. And as I told people when they said, when they told me, they said, we didn't know what to do. I said, Hallmark has cards.
Exactly. They give you all the words. Absolutely. Gosh, that's so true and so meaningful. So, how can we support you on your mission in bringing this light to other people and this inspiration, because for me, I just feel so much that we need more of you and more of the light to which you bring, particularly now, Deb. This is such a crucial time.
Well, first, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, because you are instrumental in spreading this message with all of the programs that you have and all of the guests that you are talking to. So being positive, getting through adversity, all of those things. I mean, that is absolutely fabulous. But, if people are interested in what I'm doing, the website is www.tryingnottodie.live. Not .com, not anything else. It's .live. And, quickly, live is actually an acronym. It's lead your tribe, invigorate your soul, voice your feelings, and elevate your mindset. But yeah, tryingnottodie.live. You'll see a link there for our private Facebook group. It is a private Facebook group only to keep out the spammers. I don't want somebody coming on saying, hey, we have the latest and greatest juice that's going to cure every cancer in the world. If you think that you or someone could benefit from being part of that group, please feel free to, and on Facebook, you just find it at Trying Not to Die -live, because the dot gets all confused on Facebook. So Trying Not to Die -live on Facebook, and you will find us.
And we'll surely share that in the show notes
Thank you.
as well. So just in parting, what would you like to share, Deb, as what you really want people to know? And I would ask this as well. If you had a billboard, what would you want that billboard to say?
Live every day to the absolute fullest, no matter what.
That's so perfect. Live every day to the fullest, no matter what. Well, thank you again, Deb. I'm deeply grateful for this time. And again, to your health, to your continued abundance of joy and positivity that you bring to the world. And I say yes to 97.
I love it. I'll just be toddling along. And again, I'm so honored to have been on your program. And thank you so much.
I appreciate you. And thank you to all the viewers and listeners of Master Your Life with Kate McKay. I'm Kate, and go out today and be great. The world awaits the brilliance to which you're here to bring. Is it time to claim your inner warrior? Please grab my latest copy of my book, Claim Your Inner Warrior, available now on Amazon.